The vineyard was a forgotten song, its melody lost in the overgrowth of weeds and neglect. Rows of gnarled vines, heavy with dust and silence, stretched towards the horizon. Their skeletal arms, once laden with fruit, now clawed at the sky, begging for a salvation they seemed to have long forgotten. The main house, a once grand dame of sun-baked stone, stood with vacant eyes, its soul whispering tales of bygone laughter and the sweet aroma of vintage pressed. I had stumbled upon this forgotten corner of the world by chance, drawn in by an invisible thread of destiny. It was as if the vineyard itself had called out to me, its voice a hushed plea beneath the rustling of the wind through the withered leaves. There was a melancholic beauty to its decay, a slumbering giant waiting for a tender hand to awaken it from its slumber. The air was thick with the scent of dry earth and the ghosts of harvests past. As I walked through the overgrown rows, I felt a strange sense of peace settle over me. It was a feeling of coming home to a place I had never been, a recognition of a kinship I couldn't quite explain. I knew then, with a certainty that defied logic, that this neglected vineyard was meant to be mine. The locals, their faces etched with the wisdom of generations past, shook their heads and cautioned me against purchasing the property. Cursed land, they muttered, their voices heavy with superstition and regret. They spoke of failed harvests, of families torn apart by misfortune, and of a silence that had settled over the vineyard like a shroud. But I, armed with youthful optimism and a belief in the resilience of nature, chose to see the potential that lay dormant beneath the surface. I envisioned rows bursting with plump grapes, their skins kissed by the Tuscan sun. I dreamt of the intoxicating aroma of fermentation filling the air, a symphony of life breathed back into the silent winery. I felt a connection to this land, a shared history whispering through the rustling leaves and crumbling stone walls. It was as if the vineyard itself was pleading for a second chance, for a chance to fulfill its destiny and share its bounty with the world once more. I was determined to breathe life back into this forgotten corner of the world, to coax it back into productivity and restore it to its former glory. There was a magic here. I could feel it in my bones. A magic woven into the very fabric of the land, waiting for the right hands to unlock its secrets. And I, perhaps naively, perhaps foolishly, believed that I could be the one to do it. The vineyard story, as I soon discovered, was one of both triumph and tragedy. Local historians spoke of a family, the Morellis, whose ancestors had cultivated these very vines for generations. They were renowned for their exquisite wine, a nectar that had graced the tables of kings and queens. But the Morellis, like the grapes themselves, had fallen victim to the whims of fate. A blight, swift and merciless, had swept through the region, decimating vineyards and shattering dreams. The Morellis, their legacy wiped out in a single season, abandoned their beloved vineyard, their hearts heavy with loss and despair. The vineyard, once a testament to their love and dedication, became a haunting reminder of what they had lost. The vines, their lifeblood drained, withered and died, leaving behind only skeletal remains as a monument to their grief. The winery, its heart silenced, fell into disrepair, its once gleaming vats now home to cobwebs and dust. The story of the Morellis whispered on the wind became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the fragility of life and the ephemeral nature of even the most cherished dreams. The main house, with its peeling paint and dusty windows, seemed to hold its breath, guarding the secrets of the past. I spent my days clearing away the debris, each creaking floorboard and faded photograph whispering fragments of stories untold. There was a melancholic beauty to its decay, a sense of lives lived and loved within its walls. One cool evening, as the sun cast long shadows across the dusty floors, I stumbled upon a hidden room tucked away in the back of the house. Inside, amid stacks of old books and forgotten furniture, lay a weathered leather-bound journal. Its pages, brittle with age, held the elegant script of a woman's hand. It was the diary of Isabella Morelli, the last of her lineage to tend to the vineyard. Her words, filled with passion and despair, painted a vivid picture of the family's love for their land and the heartbreak they endured in the face of its demise. Isabella wrote of secret family recipes passed down through generations, and of a hidden garden where a particular varietal of grape, the heart of their award-winning wine, was said to thrive. Isabella's words became a map, guiding me through the overgrown wilderness that had consumed the vineyard. I followed her descriptions, my heart pounding with anticipation, until I stumbled upon a hidden clearing bathed in dappled sunlight. There, nestled amidst a tangle of wild roses and forgotten fountains, lay a small plot of vines, their leaves a vibrant emerald green. They were unlike any of the other vines on the property. These were healthy, strong, and pulsing with life. This was the secret garden, Isabella's sanctuary, where the legendary Morelli grape had survived. As I touched the smooth bark of one of the vines, I felt a jolt of energy surge through me. It was as if the spirit of Isabella Morelli was there with me, her hand on mine, guiding me towards the vineyard's rebirth. Her words echoed in my ears. The heart of the vineyard beats on, waiting for the day it will rise again. Months turned into a year, and despite my best efforts, the rest of the vineyard remained stubbornly barren. The weight of the locals' warnings pressed down on me, their whispers of cursed land echoing in my ears. Doubt wormed its way into my thoughts, and I found myself questioning everything. The financial burden was immense, my savings dwindling with each passing season. The dream I had so wholeheartedly embraced began to feel like a distant memory, a naive fantasy. Exhausted both physically and emotionally, I found myself standing on the precipice of letting go. One evening, as the sun painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, I sat on the steps of the main house, the diary clutched in my hands. Tears streamed down my face as I reread Isabella's words, her unwavering belief in the vineyard's resilience a stark contrast to my own waning hope. A single sentence leaped out at me. Sometimes letting go is the bravest act of all. Perhaps it was time to admit defeat, to acknowledge that some dreams, however beautiful, were not meant to be.